Okay, comprehensive number 24, we got a graph, y equals 3 tangent of the quantity theta over 3 minus pi over 6 minus 1. Okie dokie. Couple of things that are kind of standard for all of them. You got to remember that the A kind of gives you your amplitude, but remember in tangent and cotangent and secant and cosecant, it's not really the amplitude. I mean, you don't technically have it. We do use it to end up counting. So we always put it in, oops, quotation marks. Sorry, I'm having something, the top of the screen doesn't want to work for me. Okay, so it doesn't technically have an amp of 3, but we are going to count up and down 3 at some point. The period of a, let me put it in a different color, the period of the normal tangent graph is actually pi, not 2 pi. So period, so instead of 2 pi divided by b, we could take just a plain old pi and divide it by b. So we get a 3 pi. So one main graph, one main part of the graph is going to be 3 pi. And if you go back to your notes and look in the notes in the unit, you'll remember that we had like the main section of the graph, and then it just repeated, and we only had to worry about graphing the main section because everything else was the same. All right, and then we have a vertical shift of down 1, vertical shift down 1. Now, you can remember that we kind of talk about the phase shift, but we do the phase shift a little differently just because when you're dealing with tangent and cotangent, you have to approach it a little differently. And we actually talk about it in terms of asymptotes instead of a phase shift. Now remember, a normal tangent, the main section of a tangent graph, before we do all the repeating, or the repetition I should say, goes from a negative pi over 2 to a positive pi over 2. Okay, and I want you to, like, if you need to, grab your unit circle and think about at negative pi over 2, what is the tangent? Well, it's undefined. At positive pi over 2, what is the tangent? It's undefined. So that's where those two are coming from. And then you always take your b theta, okay, all of this stuff in the center. You can add pi over 6. Add pi over 6 to everything, and you get a, and remember, you do it like you've got a left side, a middle side, and a right side. So you're really adding this pi over 6 to all 3 sections. So you get a negative pi over 3 less than theta over 3 less than 2 pi over 3, and then just multiply each section by 3. So negative pi less than theta less than 2 pi, sorry. Okay? So that's what you got. Okay? And you can see, like, from negative 1 pi to positive 2 pi, it is 3 pi, and that is the period. Okay? So then we got to graph it. Okay, so when we graphed these, the very first thing we did, and I will pick a light gray color for them, we graphed the actual asymptotes. And I know that my left asymptote is off the graph, and I understand that, and I know that kind of freaks you guys out, but don't worry about it. It's fine. It's over here. We're at negative pi. You can draw in your 2 lines if you want to, and then you would be, your next asymptote would be at 2 pi. And then remember, because the period is 3 pi, your next asymptote would be at 5 pi, which of course, again, is off the graph, but it's only 1 off the graph. Okay, and I'm actually going to use that to graph the main section, and then you can just repeat it in the other section as well. So when you're doing this, remember what we did. We counted we counted basically the lines. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We have 6 lines, and so what we did was we went in and we cut those in half. So if we count it out to a half, and I'm going to draw it, I'm going to do it highlighted. Technically that should not be on your graph, but remember, I'm just kind of trying to help you guys out. So we're halfway through. That's where our tangent curve kind of like, that's where it would be cut in the middle. It's not technically symmetric because it is increasing, but that's where it would be cut in the middle. So we have a point there. Now we had a vertical shift down 1, so our point should actually be here, right? And then we cut each section in half again. So we would, oh, sorry, I'm trying to highlight things for you so you can kind of see it. So we actually cut this section in half too. And remember that'd be 1, 2, 3 lines. So basically we're going to be 1.5 lines away. So we count over to the right 1.5, and then our amp, again, air quotes for amplitude, is up 3. So we count up 1, 2, 3, right? And then we cut the left section in half. And so we count to the left 1.5 lines, and then we count down 1, 2, 3 lines again for our air quotes amplitude. And remember, tangent rises from left to right. Whoa. Oh god, that was terrible. And cotangent falls from left to right. And of course, to do everything in this section right here that I just highlighted, you would do exactly the same. That's how it was. It was all repetition and a little bit of counting. Okay?